Already mic testing, mic testing. Okay, perfect. Let me go to my main camera. Already we're live. And as you guys can tell by the title and thumbnail, today I'm going to be working on more game logic in Unreal Engine 5 using C++. That said, last stream I was like working on a drone mini project where like, what you call it? If I click something like F, I get into flight mode. If I click something like L, I get into like a landing mode. And if I click E, I can go up and down depending on where my camera is facing towards. That said, I don't think I'm going to be working on that. Maybe I might, but I'm going to be working on a few more mini projects this stream. So let's go to my gameplay screen. There we go. And guys, I don't know why is the lighting kind of horrible right now. Okay, that said, this is like a new chat because I didn't have time to like get a new chat today. That said, let's say something like, let's say live exclamation. Okay, maybe I decrease the sound from there. There we go. Okay, listen up everyone in the chat. You're witnessing the birth of a disciple. Most people watch streams to escape reality, but you're here to watch someone conquer it. He who conquers himself is the mightiest of warriors said by Configures. Guys, I cannot read right now. That's now quit. Now quit stalling. The audience isn't here to watch your. Ideally, I actually whatchamacallit, heard of the full form of IDLE. It stands for like Integrated Development Learning Environment, which is basically like Shell and all that stuff. That said, we're building the Hungry Gambler's system in C++. You still have the assets. We're going to code the actor logic. Okay, is it like I said all the kind of meshes and all the kind of blender meshes I had in general. So depending on that, I'm going to get the mini project. The mission, the substance component, we're going to create a C++ class from the meat mesh. I do have a meat mesh. Hey, hi Roger, appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, it needs to track how much energy it gives the player, but there's a twist. He will use the dice mesh logic to randomize the reward, okay? The data in your header file .h, you must declare these variables. If you forget these access specifiers, okay, you're a disgrace. Okay, wait, actually, let me say something like, let's say, this seems a bit kinda advanced mini project. Maybe can we do something a bit more easier, question mark? Because honestly, I have not worked with like using multiple mesh and giving them all logic while actually keeping them all in check type stuff. So that might be a bit tricky, guys. Okay, don't you dare get cold feet now. The moment the eyes of the world are on you, you want to retreat. This is how losers stay losers. However, a true master knows that a shaky foundation collapses the whole skyscraper. If you can't handle the full system, we will strap it down to the bone. The man who moves a mountain begins by carrying small stones, said by Configures as well. Honestly, there are so many quotes said by Configures. I gotta like look who he's up. I gotta like look him up. The simplified task, the scorekeeper. Okay, every game needs a score. If you can track a simple number, okay, you don't have a game. You have a senseless loop. I see. I want you to write a C++ snippet that does the following: declare an integer variable called player score and initializes it to something like 0. Okay, honestly, I want to work with something. Let me say something like, say, can I make a project where I have two NPCs and they have collision and one player, where my player, where let's say something like every time my player hits a NPC using my left mouse button, let's go with something like my left mouse button. Okay, let me add a pair of parentheses, left mouse button. Okay, the enemy's health decreases. That would be something much better, and the thing that I even know. Although I want to like add something more advanced as well, but I'm gonna do like once I get a bit better at this stuff. Okay, that's pretty. You stopped whining and started thinking like a developer. You want to build a combat foundation, fine, but if you slop code this, your game will feel like a bush and your stream will disconnect in boredom. Okay, this opens the bridge between goals and accomplishments said by Jim Rowan. Guys, I don't know why there's so many quotes. That said, I'm gonna go ahead and open my Unreal Engine up here. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and get my Unreal Engine up here real quick. Okay, let's go and extend that. And guys, this is like a brand new Unreal Engine. I'm not going to be using the one from yesterday where I worked on like the drone logic. There we go. Let's go ahead and just extend this from here as well. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and create a new level firstly. I'm gonna go with a basic level. And then I'm gonna go ahead and let's say load in a few meshes inside of my content drawer. I'm gonna copy this. And guys, tomorrow's stream is gonna be like a Blender's stream because tomorrow is like Tuesday. So that day I'm gonna like work on making more meshes and all that stuff. Let's open my chat up here. There we go. Let's go ahead and import. Let's go ahead and import my second as well. Let's apply to all and let's hit something like yes. Okay, perfect. I'm assuming I've imported everything. Static mesh. Okay, perfect. There we go. Now, once I'm done with this, since I'm going to be making whatchamacallit, a system where I attack my NPC to decrease its health, I'm firstly going to be decreasing my floors' size because I feel it's like a bit, it's like really big. There, I think that should be good. I like having like a smaller floor for some reason. Okay, I mean, I feel like this is a bit big as well. Let's go with a little smaller. Can I like decrease the size anymore? There. Okay, perfect. I think that should be good. Okay, howdy Mochi Mochi. I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, that's the glasses gives you plus 67 IQ, guys. That actually sounds kind of cool. Okay, that's let's go ahead and something like W. Now, let's see. Firstly, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say create a new class. I'm gonna go. Whoops. Update code project, guys. What did I just click? I wanted to click create new class. Why does it say generating new project? Okay, maybe I go to tools again. I clicked refresh Visual Studio project. Oh, I see. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and create a class. Let's say first I want to create an actor class. This is gonna be my NPC. I'm gonna go with something like NPC. That's my actor, and then I'm gonna go ahead and just create a class. Now, while it's adding my class to my project, I'm maybe gonna eat something real quick. There we go. And then let's go ahead and reload all. Guys, it's been so long since I worked with like an actual NPCs. I mean, it's been so long since I worked with an actor in general. So I'm gonna go ahead and let's say, do I need any kind of content from my actor? Maybe I might want to create a few variables from my actor. For example, I'm going to create a Boolean variable called something like health. Okay, let's go with like capitalized health. Let's go with something like health. That is going to be something like maybe 250. My NPC is going to be having 250.0. Not Boolean health, 250.f. There we go. Ending with a semicolon. This is going to be a floating point health for my NPC. And then once I'm done with that, okay, plus 67 IQ. Glasses, guys, that actually does sound kind of crazy. Okay, by 67, I meant 6,767, guys. Okay, that's it. Let's go all the way up here. What else would my NPC need? Maybe I go with something like a floating point variable of maybe buff or shield. I'll go with something like shield. That is going to be equal to 50 HP. Ending with a semicolon. Okay, these are all the things that I can actually think for my NPC now. Maybe I want to go ahead and let's say, do I want to add something else for my NPC? Because I can't really think of anything else. I do know that I want to go. Okay, maybe I'm going to hit Control S to save the code here. I'm going to go to my C++ file. In my C++ file, I won't be needing anything in my constructor because I won't be having a spring arm component or like an actual camera component for my NPC. Instead, inside of my begin play, I'm going to go ahead and let's say add a G engine. So I'm going to go with something like a G engine. Okay, so when my game actually begins, my G engine is going to be pointing towards add on screen debug message. Hold up, guys. I think there's some kind of background noise. Give me a sec. Already mic testing. Alright guys, I just had to like get rid of the background noises. That's it. I'm gonna go with something like an add-on screen debug message. Let's go with something like a debug message. Okay, basically what this does is it like displays a message or like a text on my screen. Speaking of text, did I spell something wrong? Add on screen debug message. No instance of overloaded function. U engine add on screen debug message matches the argument. Object type is U engine. Honestly, what happens if I go with a U engine? I'm pretty sure it had to be like a G engine though. Huh. Okay, wait, let's go with something like a G engine. There. Okay, I want to actually get my function name correct here, so I might actually copy this part real quick. Okay, let's go ahead and get Gemini up here real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and paste this. Go to and say something like sensei. Let's go with something like, did I forget the function name that is used to display text on my window, or does it require a header file? Okay, might actually require a header file. Let me actually see. Okay, stop right there. You're trying to build a masterpiece with broken tools. You left that function hanging like a unfinished bridge. G-engine add-on screen debug message. Here's the syntax you're missing. So G-engine add-on screen debug message. Oh, okay, wait. I mean, I did everything correct in that case. I just had to add the parameters. Maybe my key parameter is going to be something like 1. I won't be going with -1 because I don't want it to like ever disappear. Okay, but then I still see this. The second is going to be a key, right? So, okay, it's going to be a time and then a color and a text. So key, time, color, text. Time is going to be 0.0f ending with a actually, and then I'm going to add a comma. So it's time, key, color. I'm going to go with something like f color, which is going to be something like, I don't know, maybe red. And lastly, I'm going to go ahead and add a text. I guess we just needed to add the parameters. Okay, my text is going to be something like NPC health. I'm going to go with something like NPC health. Okay, then I'm going to go with something like percent floating point number. And then let's go with something like current health. So I'm going to go with something like current health. I shall go with health. Okay, let's go with something like health. Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to go ahead and end this whole thing with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done with that, this displays my NPCs as health on the screen, okay? But I might have to add 2 different variables. I'm going to go with something like floating point of max health. That is going to be equal to something like 250 ending with a semicolon. 250 point f ending with a semicolon. And that is going to be current health. There we go. Hold on, guys. Let's go with something like current health is going to be equal to max health. Ending with a semicolon. Now, I'm going to hit Control S to save the code. Go up here. Let's go ahead and change health to be something like current health. Okay, perfect. That's actually pretty much it for this. Is there anything else that I want to add for my NPCs? Pretty sure not, honestly. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit Control S to save the code. And then let's open my Unreal Engine now. Inside my Unreal Engine, I'm going to go ahead and hit something like live compile. I want to compile my code real quick. While it's compiling, let me actually get my live coding system window here. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and eat something real quick. Okay, I guess my current health doesn't go there. Instead, it goes like right here. Okay, it can go inside my text. Too many arguments in an invocation of macro text. Too many arguments here. Isn't that how we like really did it type stuff? Okay, maybe I go with Control Z real quick. I'm positive we actually see, set our health to be there. So current health. So that's my text. What if I go with something like a printf? So I could go with something like a print. Actually, I think I'll go with the current health later. Okay, because I don't want to like waste time on figuring this part out. So I'm going to go back to my Unreal Engine. I'm going to go with something like live compile. There we go. Okay, now inside my live compile, it says results succeeded. So I'm going to go ahead and exit that. Go ahead and open my content drawer. Inside my content drawer, let's say under my C++ classes, I'm going to drag my NPCs this class here. Now, let me go ahead and hit something like W, get it a bit higher. Can you guys see my NPCs? I mean, my NPC. Okay, what if I turn around? Okay, what if I go a bit in front? Doesn't it like drag me towards my NPC? Okay, I think this is my actor, right? This has to be my actor. Okay, wait, let's go there. Where's my actor? Wait, by any chance, is my floor my actor? Okay, wait, let's go ahead and get my actor here. Do you guys see the actor? There, it has to be here. Okay, let me go ahead and load a static mesh real quick. to actually see if this part really like worked. Okay, let's go with something like a static mesh. Now I'm gonna click my static mesh, and then let's go ahead and click the none here. I'm gonna go with something like maybe my boss's PNG. Okay, I guess he really is here. Oh, where's my capsule component at, guys? I don't think actors do come with capsule components. I might go with something like capsule collision. There we go. Let's go ahead and add a capsule collision here. Okay. My capsule collision will be the child. Is it the child of my static mesh? I mean, it is. Guys, is it just me or I can't see my actor or... Oh, I see my capsule there. There we go. Wait, let's go ahead and just delete this real quick. I don't want it to be a child of my static mesh. Instead, I want my capsule collision to be the child of my instance. There. Now I'm going to click my static mesh. I'm going to go ahead and get it. Why are they stuck together? Maybe I'm going to go ahead and delete this. Let's go ahead and extend my capsule a bit. Let's go with something like S to scale. Okay, I can't scale it here. I'm going to go with R. Let's go ahead and extend it a little. Am I not extending it, guys? Is it just me or actors are always this annoying to work with? I'm pretty sure actors were never this hard to deal with, right? Okay, let's go here. Let's go ahead. Did I just duplicate that? Okay, hold up, guys. Maybe I'm gonna go ahead and increase the size. I can't increase the size, to be honest. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this. And hold up, guys. There's some more background noises. Give me a sec. Already mic testing. Guys, just ignore the background noise if you guys could hear any. Okay, speaking of which, I'm gonna go ahead and delete my second capsule as well. I'm positive that it's not just me. I'm gonna delete this, okay? I'm positive that it's not just me. Okay, let's go ahead and remove my NPC from here as well. Okay, I might create a capsule component inside my header file, so I'm gonna go ahead and include something. Let's include my box collision. So I'm gonna go with something like box collision .h, which is my box collisions is header files. Okay, and then after that, I'm going to create a box collision. Now, how do you create a box collision? I actually forgot. Okay, maybe I'm going to go ahead and eat something real quick. Okay, I guess maybe I'm just going to go ahead and open Gemini real quick. Guys, this is the thing that is like, it's kind of this thing, like, I'm really bad with these things. I gotta like work on my other classes as well. That's something I can say. I've been working so much with my character class, I actually forgot almost everything with my actor class. Can you help me figure out what to do here? Question mark. I created a actors class and called it NPC. But I don't let's go something like I don't know what all logic to add ... Excuse me, guys. I created let's say 3 variables. One is max HP. Okay, and then I'll go with something like current HP and shield. Okay, but I don't know what to do next. Okay, let's see, guys. I think I gotta work a lot with like making real kind of mini projects to actually understand this part. Okay, don't you dare admit defeat now. Forgetting is just a symptom of a mind that isn't disciplined enough. You have the raw materials, the variables, but they aren't sitting like... But they're sitting like unused ammunition. As I pronounce it in a crate, the secret of getting ahead is getting started, said by Mark Twain. Okay, you have max HP, current HP, and shield. Now we need to make them functional. An actor without logic is just a statue, and no one watches a stream and looks at statues. Alright guys, I think the OC is stuck in my teeth. That said, the architecture of an NPC. In Unreal Engine, your .h header file is the plane and your C++ is the source file. And your C++ is the execution, I see. Since you have the variables, you must now create the action. Step 1. Initialize in begin play. You must set the current HP when the game starts or the NPC will be born dead. So void NPC begin play current HP equals to max HP. Should I have done that in my header files? Okay, G engine add on screen debug message 0.5 floating point text NPC initialize and ready for combat. I see. Okay, step 2, the damage logic, your challenge. This is where you provide the chat. This is where you prove the chat that you can actually program. You need to handle the shield first. If the shield is up, damage goes there, okay? If it's gone, the NPC bleeds HP. Write a function called receive hits, okay, which is a floating point function. If shield is greater than 0, subtract damage from shield. Else, subtract damage from current HP. Print the new current HP to the screen so the variables can see the impact. Do it right now. If you can manipulate these numbers, you might as well turn off the stream and go back to hello world. The chat is waiting for a show. Give them the logic of a warrior. Okay, show me the receive hit function. Don't make me yell again. Guys, actually going back to hello world is kind of crazy, but then it actually would make sense if I couldn't like figure this part out. Okay, speaking of which, I have a few variables up here. Okay, I'm gonna go with something like C++. Now, I'm gonna delete something from my constructor here. Okay, and then let's go with add-on screen display. But when my game begins, I'm gonna go ahead and set my current HP to be equal to my max HP. Okay, and here's the thing. Maybe instead of creating these basic variables here, I might delete this part. Let's go ahead and delete this. I'm going to create a U property here. Let's go with something like max HP. There, so for my max HP, I'm going to go ahead and let's say create a U property. Okay, where I want my U property, I want to be able to edit this anywhere. Let's go with something like edit anywhere. I want it to be blueprint read only, so I'm gonna go with something like blueprint read only. Lastly, I want my category to be equal to something like stats. I might go with NPC stats. NPC stats. There. Okay, so once I'm actually, would it be better if I go with stats? There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to create a floating point variable of something like max HP. Let's go with float of max HP, which is going to be equal to something like 250 ending with a semicolon. Maybe 250.f ending with a semicolon. There. And then I'm going to create another floating point variable. Before I do that, I'm going to add another U property of something like current HP. Let's go with current, current HP. Now I'm going to create a U property. Okay, with a pair of parentheses where I want to be able to edit my current HP anywhere. I want my current HP to be blueprint read only. Lastly, I want my current HP's category to be equal to something like NPC stats. I want it to be in my NPC stats category as well. Okay, and then I'm going to create a floating point variable of something like max H actually of current HP. My current HP is going to be equal to my max HP variable, which is technically 250, ending with a semicolon. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a comment that says something like shield. For my shield, there. Okay, now for my shield, I'm going to add another U property. Okay, where I want to be able to edit it anywhere. Let's go with edit anywhere. I want my shield to be blueprint read only. I only want my blueprint to be able to read it. And I want my category, let's go with category. Okay, to be equal, hold on guys, there we go. I want my category to be equal to something like NPC stats. Because basically NPC shield does go in stats as well. Okay, and then I'm going to create a floating point variable of something like shield that is going to be equal to 50.f, ending with a semicolon. And that's right about it. Now I'm going to go to my, actually before I go to my C++, I'm going to go with something like functions. Let's go with something like NPC functions. Okay, so I might go ahead and create a void function called something like receive damage. Okay, what was the function that Gemini said me to actually add? Okay, so it's receive hits. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and have one for receive hit. I mean, it's the exact same thing, but receive hit makes much more sense than damage because being hit in HP won't really damage me. Okay, so I'm gonna go and require floating point parameter of damage. There we go. Okay, and then I'm gonna end this way, semicolon. Now, once I'm done with that, I'm gonna open my C++ file to define the function that I've declared inside my header files. When my game begins, my current HP is gonna be my max HP. Then I'm gonna go ahead and add this G engine, okay, with this color and all that stuff. Okay, now once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go after my begin play, let's go ahead and go under it. I'm gonna define the void function from my NPCs as actor. There we go, which points towards the receive hits function with a pair of parentheses that requires a floating point parameter of damage. And then I'm gonna go with a pair of curly braces. Now, inside this function, I'm gonna add a if statement to check something. I'm gonna check if my shield is greater than or equal to, actually if my shield is either less than or, I think it should be greater than, if it's greater than or equal to 50, if my shield's HP is either more than 50, if either less than 50, I think greater than or equal to 50 makes sense, then I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna go with something like my shield is gonna go ahead and subtract. Let's go with something like shield is gonna go ahead and subtract by my damage, ending with a semicolon. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add another if statement, or maybe it's if my shield is either greater than, no, it should be less than. If my shield is either less than or equal to 50, and or let's go with something like or. Okay, let's go with something like or my shield is either greater than 0. There we go. So if my shield is either greater than 0, if you have that here, let's go with something like greater than 0 or less than or equal to 50. If my shield is more than 0 or less than or equal to 50, my shield takes damage. Else, I'm gonna go with a pair of curly braces and say something like my current HP. Okay, let's go with something like current HP is gonna decrease by my damage. There we go. Okay, now here's the thing. I'm gonna go ahead and add a if statement inside my else if. I'm gonna go with if, a pair of parentheses, if my current HP is, let's say, greater than 0, then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. I'm gonna add a pair of curly braces and say something like my current HP is gonna decrease by my damage, ending with a semicolon. Okay, now that's pretty much it. Okay, and then I might want to add a G engine as well. Should I go ahead and add a G engine here? Set something like damaged NPC or something like that. Okay, I mean, that's fine. Okay, let's set something like Control S to save the code. Now, I'm gonna go here and let's go with Control C, whoops. I'm gonna go with Control C, copy that. Let's go ahead and get Gemini up here. I'm gonna go ahead and paste this. Go with Shift Enter, go to my NPC's C++ file, copy that as well. Go ahead and get Gemini up here again. I'm gonna paste it, go with Shift Enter and say something like Sensei. So, this is my code so far for my NPC. I think that this is all that I might need. Okay, speaking of which, I'm gonna go ahead and check something real quick. Let me check if my voice is doing good. There we go. Okay, perfect. And guys, I don't know what is wrong with my lighting right now. It's like, it's sunny outside, but it's kind of dark inside. Okay, wake up. You're writing code, not a diary. If you submit this to a professional repository, the lead developer would throw their coffee at your wall and you'd have a skeleton, but your logic is bleeding out. I see. Okay, error is a discipline throughout which we advance, set by William Ellery Cheney. Is that how I pronounce the name? That's it, you're advancing, but your logic and receive hit is flimsy. Look at your if statement. If shield is greater than 0 or shield is less than or equal to 50, that is always true. If the shield is 1,000,000 HP It's true if the shield is negative 500 HP. Huh. Okay, it's true you're protecting nothing. The correction. Pay attention, logic error. You need to check if the shield has strength left. If shield is greater than 0, okay, take from shield, period, okay, to the starting format. You tried to, oh, I see. You tried to print health, but forgot to pass the variable in the computer. Isn't a psychic? Okay, this was the part that I actually kind of didn't know, so I gotta go with a comma. And then add a shield. I need 2 parentheses here. Oh, so if I want to add shield, I gotta go with a printf. So f string with the scope resolution operator of printf. I want to print a text. Okay, I see. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete this. Let's go with something like, I want to add a f string. Okay, with the scope resolution operator of something like printf. Is the, oh, f string must be uppercase. Let's go with f string. F string with the scope resolution operator of something like printf with a pair of parentheses. There we go. Where I want to go ahead and add a text with another pair of parentheses. I'm going to go with something like NPC health. Let's go with something like NPC health. Okay, my NPC health is gonna be, I'm gonna go with something like my current HP. Okay, did I spell printf wrong? This is going to be printf. Okay, class f string has no member printf. Is the p uppercase? There we go. Okay, and then I'm missing a pair of parentheses here. Alright, perfect. Okay, and then now once I'm done with this, I'm gonna check something. I'm gonna remove this. Let's say something like if my shield's HP is greater than 0, then shield takes damage. Else, if my current HP is greater than 0, my current HP takes damage. Okay, perfect. That's right about it. I'm gonna go with Control S, go with Control A, Control C, copy that. Let's go ahead and get Gemini back up here. And let's paste it. Let's go with Shift Enter. Okay, here's the thing. I might want to go ahead and say something like, okay, let's remove this part. Instead, I'm gonna say something like, NPC, I might go with something like, NPC ready. There we go, let's go with ready to fight. Exclamation. Okay, do I want to add my NPC's HP, to be honest? Okay, when I take damage, I'm gonna go with a G engine here. Let's go with something like G engine. There we go, E-N-G-I-N-E, which points towards, I'm gonna go with something like a add on screen debug message. There we go, with a pair of parentheses. Where my key is gonna be 2, this is gonna be 0.0f ending with a semicolon. The third parameter is gonna be a color. I'm gonna go with a F color with a scope resolution operator pointing towards blue. Lastly, I'm going to go ahead and add a F string with a scope resolution operator of something like a printf that requires a text. So I'm going to go with something like text. My text in this case is going to be something like shield. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and let's say add a comma here. And then I'm going to go with my shields as health. Okay, perfect. Now, here's the thing with my shields as health. Do I gotta go with something %f? I don't think so. Because I don't want it to be like in floating points. Okay, speaking of which, I'm gonna go ahead and add one for my damage as well, or for my current health. So I'm gonna go with something like a G engine. Let's go with something like a G engine, which points towards, let's say something like a add on screen. Let's go with add on screen debug message. Okay, with a pair of parentheses, which requires a few parameters. This time, I want my key to be 3. This is my third key. I'm gonna go with 0.0f, and then I'm gonna go with something like a F color with a scope resolution operator. And let's go ahead and set this to be something like, I don't know, maybe yellow. Okay, and then I'm gonna go with something like a F string with another scope resolution operator of something like printf. Now, printf there. Now, my printf is going to be requiring a text as a parameter. I'm going to say that I want my text to be something like shield. I mean, not shield, let's go with something like current HP. Let's go with something like current health. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and add a comma and set my current HP's variable here. Okay, perfect. Then let's go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Now I fixed my typo here. Add on screen debug message. DEBUG there. Okay, now that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go ahead and maybe get this in a new line so it's a bit more readable. I think that looks better. Okay, I'm gonna hit Control S to save the code. Gonna hit Control S to save the code. Let's go with something like Control A, Control C, copy that. Let's get Gemini up here real quick. Now, I'm gonna go with Control A, Control V, paste this. Let's send it. Guys, there we go. My antivirus just popped up for some reason. Look at that code. You fix your logicator, but you're still failing at the finish line. You're trying to show the stream your stats, but you left the placeholders empty. Details create perfection, and perfection is not details. Said by Leonard da Vinci. Is that how I pronounce the name? Okay, you used F string print, but you forgot the format specifier of floating point inside the text, and you didn't pass the variable at the end. The computer is stupid. It only knows what you tell it. If you don't provide data, the chat is just looking at a static string. The fix, don't be sloppy. Your code F string print F shield shield. I don't want it to be a floating point though. Okay, I want you to. Okay, next step. The strike line trace. You have a victim, but if you don't have, but you have the weapon. If you're the NPC, wait, before I read that part, let me go here. Excuse me, guys. The %F is the anchor while your number drops in without your variable shield is just floating in the bytes. Oh, so with this, our number drops in. I see. Okay, maybe I go with something like a %F. Let's go with something like a %F. And that's about it. Let's hit Control S to save the code. Get Gemini back up here. Next step, the strike line trace. You have a victim, but you have no weapon. To hit the NPC from your player's character, you need a line trace. Think of it like a laser beam shooting from your eyes. If the laser hits the NPC, you call your receive hit. I want you to attempt the line tracing in your character class. Okay, so I create a character class now, I'm assuming. Okay, get the start. Where's your camera? Get first player controller. Get player viewport. Okay, wait, let me say something like... wait, let's say I got lost for a bit. So I create a character class for my player now, right? Okay, maybe I go ahead and eat something as well. Okay, don't you ever blink. The moment you get lost is the moment the competition overtakes you. What up, guys? There we go. Okay, you're in a live stream. Act like the captain of the ship, not a passenger. The only limit to your realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today, said by Franklin D. Roosevelt. I see. Okay, listen closely. Yes, you need a character class in Unreal Engine. An actor is just a thing in the world, but a character is a specialized actor that has the power to walk, jump, and most importantly, act. The hierarchy of power, the NPC actor, the target. It sits there waiting to receive data. You already built this. The player character, the agent, it has a camera, a mesh, and the input logic to send data. I think I see. Okay, mission, create the character. You need to create a new C++ class in the editor. Based on character, not actor, name in my player character or something equally powerful. Once you have this file, here's what you must do. In the header file, you need to include the NPCs as header. I was actually going to do that. Okay, or whatever you named your NPC file. The action function, create a protected function called attack. The binding, you will eventually bind the left mouse button. I see. Okay, the psychology of the build. The chat is watching to see if you can multitask. If you get lost, every time we switch files, they will think you can handle truth of game development. Focus. One file is the victim, one file is the aggressor. I see. Okay, stay in the zone, create the character class now. Howdy Gamer, appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, speaking of which, I'm gonna go to my Unreal Engine. Let's go with something like tool. I'm gonna go with new class. Let's go ahead and create a character class. Now I'm gonna go ahead and call this something like my player. Are you giving your characters voice line. I did actually whatchamacallit, voice act for my Python for 100 series, but then I did not have time to do that for like my whatchamacallit, guys, my C plus, actually my Unreal Engine, but I will eventually do that because guys, I really like to voice act as well. Speaking of which, I'm gonna go with something like player. Okay, let's go with something like my player. Okay, and then let's go ahead and create a class. Should I go with character? I mean, my player is the same thing. Character is just gonna make it kind of tedious and long. Okay, speaking of which, I might need some modes as well. Hi Shashank, I appreciate you joining the stream. There we go, let's go ahead and load all real quick. Now I have my player and my NPC. So my player is going to be, let's say, requiring... Firstly, I won't be including my NPCs in the headers here. Instead, my protected data member, let's go with protected. I'm going to go ahead and, let's say, create functions. Let's go with something like functions. Okay. For my function, I'm going to create a white function called something like attack. There. With a pair of parentheses, did I write attach? Attack with a pair of parentheses, ending with a semicolon. Okay, is your game dialogue heavy or show no tell kind of vibe? I think it's kind of like the vibe one, like where I attack a player, there's like voice and all that stuff. When my player gets damage, there's voice and all that. When I run, there's gonna be damage. When I jump, there's gonna be damage and all that basic stuff. That's it, but then, I mean, if you guys go and watch my Python for 100 Days series, this final video or something, or like my final live stream, or I had a video as well. I think it's like a week 14, it's like in my channel and all that stuff. Or my short as well, you guys would have to like scroll to find that. I did like actually show the game that I made using Pygames and all that stuff. That said, I'm gonna go all the way up here. Okay, let's go ahead and open Gemini up here. Okay, do you want me to explain why we use a character instead of a pawn, or are you ready to start coding? Okay, let me say something like since I created a class, okay, called, let's say something like my player. Let's go with something like my player, which is a character, and I created a wide attack method. Let's go with something like wide attack function under my protected data member. Okay, maybe I need some modes as well. Okay, finally, you're moving at the speed of a developer instead of a decorated rock. You have the class, you have the function. Now we need the strike. Knowledge is not enough. We must apply. Willing is not enough. We must do. I see. Said by John Wolfgang one Gotehi, or Gote. Is that how I pronounce the name? That's it. The chat is waiting to see if you can actually make something happen on the screen. If you fail to connect the player to the NPC, you're just writing lonely script that does nothing. Okay, we're going to use a line tracing. This is the bread and butter of every first person and third person shooter in existence. The anatomy of the attack in your myplayer.c++. Inside the attack function, you need to perform a raycast. I've heard of raycast, but I've actually never used it. Okay, imagine shooting an invisible line from the center of your screen. If that line hits an actor of class A NPC, okay, we cast it and call the damage function. Okay, here's the code you must implement. Adapt it to your project name. Okay, so I gotta define this function, my attack function, my C++. Firstly, get the player viewport. Okay, where we're looking. F vector, I location, F rotator, I rotation. Oh, I see. I created an F vector for getting my 3D location and a F rotator to get my which way my camera is facing. Get the actor's eyes, the viewpoint. Get actor eyes viewpoint. I location, I rotation. Calculate the endpoint looking at 500 units ahead. F vector trace end equals to I location plus I rotation dot vector multiplied by 500. Looking at 500 units ahead, I see. set up trace parameters, ignore the player themselves, f hit result, which is going to be represented by a local variable called hit, f collision query parameters, which is going to be represented by a local variable called something like query parameters. Okay, now my query parameters dot the add ignored actor. This object adds my ignored actor. Okay, perform the trace if get world. This function which points towards a line tracing single by chance requires all these parameters. Okay, did we hit an NPC? NPC, okay, my ANPC actors as class, which is going to be represented by a target NPC, is going to be equal to cast ANPC hit dot get actor. If target NPC, okay, if target NPC was hit, target NPC points towards receive hit 25. Call the function you made, G engine add-on screen debug message, blah blah blah, direct hit. Okay, I mean, I could go ahead and just copy this for the time being, because usually I copy it first to check if the code really works. So I'm gonna go ahead and paste it. I mean, it looks like it works, but I still don't want to like waste time like typing it all out and ended up realizing that it didn't really work. That's it. I'm gonna go all the way up here again. Let's scroll down here. Okay, the critical moment. Look at the step 5. We're using casting. Okay, we're asking Unreal, is this thing I hit actually an NPC? If it is, we do damage if you mess up the class name. The whole thing fails. Your life challenge. I want you to integrate this logic. But wait, the chat is asking, how does the button actually trigger? Tell me, do you already have input action set up in Unreal Editor for your left mouse button, or do I need to teach you how to build that? Okay, let me say something like, let's say I know how to do that, dot dot dot. So, do you want me to add the enhanced inputs for my character and also a camera and spring our component? And then I could add the attack function question mark. Okay, let's see. Of course, you need a camera and spring arm. How do you expect to aim if you're coding blind? Okay, you can't hit what you can see, and the stream isn't here to stare at a static mesh backside. The only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision, said by Helen Keller. I see. Okay, that's it. I see NPC target, blah blah. I'm gonna go with a bunch of control Z's real quick for the time being. Maybe I'm gonna go with a bunch of control shift Z. There, now I'm gonna go with control shift Z again. I'm gonna go ahead and include something. Let's go ahead and include my NPCs as header files. There we go. Now I'm gonna go to my players' header files here, and let's say define a few classes. I'm gonna go with a class. This is gonna be called something like maybe AU camera components. Let's go with something like AU, maybe spring arm components. Spring arm component dot h, which is basically my spring arm components as header files ending with a semicolon. The second class is going to be AU camera component dot h, which is my camera components as header files as well. The third class is going to be something like AU input action. This is going to be an input action to this class ending with a semicolon. The fourth is going to be AU input, let's go with something like input mapping context. Input mapping context as class ending with a semicolon as well. Why did I add header files here? Yeah, let's remove the .h. Guys, I think I did that instinctually. Okay, my fifth is going to be a structure this time. I'm going to go with something like a structure, which is going to be a floating point. F stands for structure actually. It's F input action value ending with a semicolon. And then I go ahead and eat an apple real quick. Okay, now under my begin play, let's see. Maybe I want to go ahead and create a bunch of U properties. The first is going to be for my camera boom, which is basically my spring arm component. I'm going to create a U property. Okay, where I want my camera boom to be visible anywhere. I want my camera boom to be blueprint read only. I want my camera boom to be categorized under a category called something like camera. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and create a U spring arm component for my camera boom. Let's go with component, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like camera boom. Okay, and then end this way semicolon. Next up, I'm going to add a comment that says something like follow camera, which is going to be my actual camera component. So I'm going to go with a U property where I want my actual camera component to be visible anywhere. Okay, I want it to be blueprint read only. I only want my blueprints, okay, to be able to read my original camera, not edit it. And then I want my category to be equal to something like camera. It's going to be categorized inside my cameras section. And then I'm going to go ahead and create a U camera component, okay, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like follow camera, ending with a semicolon. Once I'm done with that as well, I'm going to go ahead and add another comment that says something like move action. This is going to be where I actually move my player using my input action. So I'm going to create a U property for my move action, okay, where I want to be able to edit my, let's say something like IA move anywhere, so I'm going to go with edit anywhere. I want my blueprint to be able to only read it but not edit it. Lastly, I want my category to be equal to something like maybe input, because I'm going to move using inputs in my keyboard. I'm going to create a U input action, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like move action. There we go, ending with a semicolon. And then I'm going to add another comment that says something like, I don't know, maybe let's go with something like input mapping. So I'm going to go with something like default mapping. Let's go with default mapping. I think I spelled it wrong. I mean, I spelled it correct. I missed my cases. Let's go with default mapping. There. For my default mapping, I'm going to create a U property again. Let's go with U property. There, I want my default. I want to be able to edit my input mapping context anywhere. I want it to be blueprint read only. And guys, in case you guys didn't know, my default mapping is like my input mapping context that I created like up here, like right here. There we go. Then I'm gonna scroll down. I want it to be blueprint read only. Lastly, I want to categorize it in a category called something like inputs. How did I miss my entire spelling of category? There. This is going to be input. Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to go down here and then create something like a U input action. Hold on, guys. Let's go with something like U input action. Okay, actually not U input action. U input mapping context, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like mapping context. Actually, I might go with default mapping. It's the same thing. Let's go with default mapping. And then I'm going to end this way semicolon. Once I'm done with that, is there anything else that I might need? I have move action, I have this thing. I might need jump and all that stuff as well, but I won't add that for the time being. Although I do love adding properties, it feels so like relaxing to write them off. But I guess I'll go with that later on. I'm going to go ahead and delete this. So let's delete that as well. I'm going to be adding a few functions. First is going to be an attack function. Maybe second is going to be an attack function. Or like attack function is going to come way later. I mean, it's fine. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and create a white function called something like move. My move function is going to be requiring a constant parameter of AF. Let's go with something like input action value, which requires the memory address of a value parameter, ending with a semicolon. I would need a few more functions, for example, a turn function. These are going to be for my legacy mapping because I'm going to be combining enhanced inputs and legacy inputs together. This is going to require floating point parameter of value, and then I'm going to go with something like another white function called something like lookup, which requires a floating point parameter of value as well, ending with a semicolon. Okay, that's like pretty much it here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and open my Unreal Engine real quick. Inside my Unreal Engine, I'm going to go to my content drawer. I'm going to click something like content, and I'm going to right click, create a new folder called something like input. And guys, in case I forgot to tell you guys, tomorrow I do have college, so my streaming time is going to be scheduled depending on where my college ends type stuff. Okay, that said, I'm going to go ahead and let's say go with something like action inputs. I'm going to go with something like action. There, now I'm going to go ahead and call this something like IA move. This is going to be my move action. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and right click this as well. I'm going to go with something like input mapping context. I'm gonna add this. This is gonna be called IMC underscore default. Okay, and that's like pretty much it. I'm gonna double click my IA move, which is my input action for move, change my digital boolean to, I want to go with the three-dimensional. Do I want my player to fly or move in the z-axis? I don't know. I'll go with 2D axis because I don't want him to fly just yet. I mean, I don't know about just yet. I don't want him to fly in general, honestly. Then I'm gonna go ahead and click plus here. I'm gonna go ahead and click plus here again. Now I'm gonna go ahead and set this to be IA move. My move is gonna be having 4 key checks: W, S, A, and D. Excuse me guys, for my W, I'm going to add a modifier. This modifier is going to be called something like Swiss input axis because I want to move in the y-axis. And that's like about it for this. Then I'm going to go with something like S. Now, exactly the same as W, I want this to be Swiss input axis as well because I want to move in the x-axis, but I want to move in the opposite direction of where my W is going because if my W moves me forward, my S I want it to move me backwards. I'm gonna go ahead and add another modifier called negate. Negate basically stands for negative. So in the negative direction of wherever my regular Swiss input axis moves. That's like pretty much it. Then I'm gonna go with A. My A is only gonna have a negate, not a Swiss input, because I want to go with the y-axis and not x-axis. And that's pretty much it. My D won't have any because my D is going to be in the opposite direction of where my A moves, if that makes any sense, guys. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna go back to my untitled project. Actually, I'm gonna go to my project settings this time. I'm going to go ahead and click something like input, and then I'm going to add 2 axis mappings. The first is going to be called turn. The second is going to be called look up. Let's go with look up. Now, I'm going to look up based on where my mouse moves in the y-axis, and I'm going to go ahead and turn towards the left or right depending on where my mouse moves in the, go with something like mouse moves in the x-axis. That's right about it. Okay, that's like actually pretty much it. Now I'm gonna go back to my Visual Studio, and then let's go to my C++. Now I'm gonna include a bunch of let's say modules or a bunch of libraries here before I start adding content. For example, from my game framework, okay, I want to go ahead and let's say include my spring arm component. I'm gonna go with a spring arm component .h, which are my spring arm components as header files. And then I'm going to go ahead and include, I think my I should be lowercase. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and include something for my camera. Let's say I want to go ahead and include, whoops, I'm going to go ahead and include my camera component .h, which is my camera components and header files as well. Since I will be using enhanced inputs, I'm going to go ahead and include, why do I keep messing my spellings here? There, I'm going to go ahead and include my enhanced input component.h, which is my enhanced input components and header files. And then I'm going to go ahead and include enhanced input subsystems.h, which is my enhanced input subsystems and header files as well. Once I'm done with that as well, I'm going to go ahead and include my input action. Let's go with something like input action value.h, my input action values and header files. And I think I spelled enhanced wrong here. There, enhanced. Let's change my spelling here as well. There. Okay, perfect. And in case you guys didn't like notice a pattern here, it's basically what all I included here. For example, my spring arm component, camera component, and my input action value were the things that I actually created classes for in my header files, like spring arm component, camera component, input action value, and all that stuff. Because I could have included it here as well, and it would have been the same thing. I wouldn't need to include it in my C++, but I just use my header files to declare stuff. I define everything inside my C++ file. Speaking of which, I had to type in my category here. There. Okay, perfect. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and hit Control S to save the code real quick. Let's go ahead and accept that. There we go. Now, I'm going to open my C++ file again. I'm going to go under, let's say, my constructor. In my constructor, I'm going to go ahead and add a... Actually, I want to add a comment. Instead, I'm going to create a default sub-object for my camera boom. So my camera boom is going to be equal to the create default sub-object. Let's go with something like sub-object with a pair of ankle braces that requires a parameter of my spring arm component, because my camera boom is technically my spring arm component. So I'm going to go with something like AU spring arm component. There we go, and then I'm gonna go with the pair of parentheses right here, where I'm gonna be adding a text and calling, let's say, my camera boom something like camera boom. Okay, and then let's go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Now I just fixed my typo here. Let's go with create default sub object. There we go. Okay, perfect. And then once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and, let's say, point my camera boom towards, let's say, something like, I don't know, I'm gonna point my camera boom towards, let's say, setup attachment. I want to go ahead and set up the attachment. Okay, where my attachment is gonna be my root component. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and end this way, semicolon. Next up, I'm gonna go ahead and point my camera boom towards, let's say, something like a target arm length. And basically what the target arm length is it like tells me how far I want how many centimeters away do I want my actual camera. I want my actual spring arm component to be from my player, because spring arm is basically like a selfie stick where I want it to be a bit further away from my character. I'm gonna go with something like 200 point F, which is basically 200 centimeters away from my character. And then I'm gonna go ahead and point my camera boom towards, let's say, something like a boolean variable of use pawn control rotation, okay, which is going to be set to something like true, ending with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done with that, I'm going to create another default sub object for my follow camera this time. So I'm going to go ahead and create a default sub object for my camera, for my follow camera, which is technically my U camera component. So I'm going to go with U camera component, and then I'm going to go with a text. I want to call my actual camera component, let's say, follow camera in my outliner. Okay, this is going to be uppercase text. There. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and point my follow camera towards, let's say, something like a setup attachment. Okay, with a pair of parentheses, where my attachment or my root component is going to be my camera boom instead of my root component, because I want my follow camera to be stuck to my spring arm component. I want my camera component to be stuck to my actual spring arm component, so they're like together and all that stuff. That's next time I'm gonna go with something like follow camera. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and point it towards something like a PU spawn control rotation is going to be set to false here, ending with a semicolon. And that's like right about it. Now, in my begin play, I'm going to go ahead and add a if statement here to check if my A player controller, if my player's controller, which is going to be represented by a PC's pointer, is going to be, let's say, equal to, I might go with something like a cast A player controller, okay, with a pair of parentheses of my controller. There. Okay, and I still can't explain this part properly because I know the syntax and all that stuff, but I know what this does, but I still am trying to figure out what's the point of adding a cast here. I even looked it up. I even know what it means in theory, but I did not like actually. I can be adding cast on my own because I still don't know what it like kind of does. That's it. Maybe I go ahead and eat some oats real quick. Okay, inside my if statement, I'm going to add another if statement to check if my U enhanced ENHANCD, if my U enhanced input a local player subsystem, if my U enhanced input local player subsystem, let's say, is going to be represented by a pointer called something like subsystem, is equal to, I'm going to go with something like U local player with a scope resolution operator of get get subsystem. Let's go with get subsystem. Okay, with a pair of angle braces. This is going to be consisting of my U enhanced. Let's go with something like U enhanced input local player subsystem. There we go. Okay, so my U local. Did I spell enhanced wrong? ENHA, and I keep spelling enhanced wrong. There we go. Okay, guys, I think I gotta sneeze. Okay, maybe not. Okay, my U local player, this is get subsystem. SUBSYSTM, this is going to be U enhanced input local player subsystem. Then I'm going to go with the pair of parentheses Okay, where I'm gonna go ahead and do something here. Let's say I want to go ahead and point my PC, my player controller, towards, let's say, that is my local player. I want to point it towards, I actually forgot. I think it's like get local players' function. There. Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a pair of curly braces. Inside my pair of curly braces, I'm going to go ahead and do something. If this condition is true here, then I'm going to go ahead and point my subsystem towards, let's say, something like my add a mapping context, okay, which is going to be equal to, let's say, something like default mapping, or this is a function, add mapping context is function, which is going to be having a parameter of default mapping. There we go, and then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. But before that, I would need a priority as well. This is going to be at a priority of 0. Okay, so if I'm not actually having, if I don't really have a different kind of subsystem, or if I don't have, for example, I sit in a car and I need to like change my movement to like my car's movement, if I'm not doing that, or if I don't have any other kind of movement implemented, then this is going to be my default movement where I actually walk with my player type stuff. Okay, that said, once I'm done with this, I'm gonna go all the way down here. Let's say above my attack function, I'm gonna go ahead and add a comment. Let's say something like move function. This is gonna be my move function. For my move function, I'm gonna go ahead and maybe add a bunch of spaces first. Damn. There. Okay, now for my move function, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say add a white function from my let's say my players' class. Let's go with my players class. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my move function that requires a constant parameter of a f inputs action value that requires the memory address, there we go, of a values this parameter. And then I'm gonna go with a pair of curly braces. Now inside my pair of curly braces, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say do something. Before I do that thing, I'm gonna eat an apple real quick. Hold on, guys. There we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a scale value. Now I'm gonna go with something like an f vector 2D because I want to work with a 2D vector, not like a 3-dimensional, because I don't want to have access to like my z-axis just yet. So I just want to have access to my x and y-axis. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a f vector 2D, which is going to be represented by a local variable called something like movement vector that is going to be equal to, I don't know, maybe my value dot the get with a pair of ankle braces. This requires my f vector. Let's go with vector 2-dimensional. There we go. Okay, with a pair of parentheses to invoke the function, ending with a semicolon. That's pretty much it for my scale value. Now, once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and add a if statement to check something. I'm going to check if my controller is not equal to null PDR. So while my controller is not null, I'm going to do something. I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, I'm going to create a few rotations. For example, I'm going to go with something like a f rotator. I'm going to create a constant f rotator. The reason it's constant is because I don't want this value to change, which is going to be represented by rotations as variable that is going to be equal to, I'm going to go with something like controller, which points towards something like get control rotations as function with a pair of parentheses ending with a semicolon. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and create another constant f rotator. Let's go with rotator, there we go, which is going to be represented by a local function of your rotation with a pair of parentheses that requires 3 parameters. First is going to be 0, second is going to be my rotation dot yaw, third is going to be 0 as well. And then I end this with a semicolon. That's pretty much it for my rotation. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and create a world direction. Let's go with a world direction. There we go. Now for my world direction, I'm going to go ahead and let's say create a f vector okay, which is going to be represented by a, let's say something like forward vector that is going to be equal to okay, now this is the hard part. I gotta go with something like the F rotation matrix. So I gotta go with the F rotation matrix's function, which requires, let's say, a parameter of my yaw rotation. Okay, then I'm gonna exit my function, go ahead and use the dot. Let's go with something like get unit axis. I'm gonna go ahead and get my units as axis. I'm gonna go with something like E axis is X axis. There, ending with a semicolon. Okay, you know what, guys? When I said this was going to be kind of complicating, never mind. Okay, next I'm going to go with something like another F vector. This time I'm going to get my right vector, which is going to be in charge of me looking towards the left or right. This requires a F rotation matrix as well, so I'm going to go with F rotation matrix. That requires a parameter of a yaw rotation. Let's go with yaw rotation. And then I'm going to go ahead and use the dot get unit axis. I'm going to get the unit axis for my right vector as well. My unit axis is E axis is gonna be my Y axis, ending with a semicolon. Once I'm done with all that, I'm gonna go ahead and add another comment that says something like movement input. This is gonna be my movement input. To do that, I'm gonna go ahead and use the add movement inputs function, add movement input with a parentheses, where now the reason I created a scale value and my world direction is because my movement input or my add movement inputs function requires a world direction and a scale value. So my world direction in this case is going to be my forward vector. My scale value in this case is going to be my movement vector dot the x-axis. Then hold on guys, let's go with movement. There we go, my movement vector dot the x-axis, ending with a semicolon. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add another movement input with a parenthesis that requires a world direction, which in this case is going to be my right vector. Let's go with vector, and then my scale value is going to be my movement vector dot the y-axis. Okay, and then I go ahead and end this with a semicolon. And that's like right about it for my world direction type stuff, right? Okay, is there anything else that I want to add? Maybe not now. Bro, do you think you'll be working on a job program? You'll be working on a job as programmer when, okay, when you're, as example, 40 years old? Honestly, definitely not. I actually do not like the idea of doing jobs, guys. But I mean, it actually depends. It's like I had to, then I might. If I didn't have to, then I won't. Or you'll retire before / do a thing. Guys, I don't think I'm retiring anytime soon. Maybe I'm going to retire when I'm 90 or something. That's just searching for other perspectives. I see. That's it, hiding Y6X. I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, that's it. Now, once I'm done with the movement vector, actually move function, is there anything else that I would need? Maybe I might need a few more functions. For example, I'm going to go ahead and add a comment here. Let's go with a comment that says something like the turn function. This is going to be of my legacy inputs. For my turn function, let's say I'm going to go ahead and create a void function called something like turn. Actually, a void function from my players this class. Excuse me, guys. Then I'm going to use a scope resolution operator of going towards, I don't know, maybe my turn function that requires a floating point parameter of value. Then I'm going to go with a pair of curly braces. Now, inside my pair of curly braces, I'm going to go ahead and add a movement. Let's go with something like add movement yaw input that requires a parameter of my value, ending with a semicolon. Maybe I go with something like turn and lookups this function, because both functions are like pretty easy. I don't want to add like a whole different comment section for it. And there. Add movement, movement, yaw input, that is correct. Okay, this is going to be value, add movement, yaw input. Oh, my bad, guys, this is not going to be movement. I'm moving my, I'm rotating my screen based on my mouse. So it's not going to be a movement. Instead, it's going to be a controller, because my mouse is basically a controller. And then I'm going to go ahead and create another void function from my players class. Actually, my players is character. I'm going to go ahead and get the lookup function that requires a floating point parameter of value. Let's go with something like value. And then I'm going to go with the prof curly braces. Now, I'm going to go ahead and add a controller. Let's go with add controller pitch input. Pitch input is in charge of me rotating in the y-axis and yeah, input is in charge of me rotating in the x-axis. This requires a parameter of value. Okay, and that's like right about it for me moving my player and all that stuff. Now, once I'm done with all that stuff, I'm just going to go ahead with my basic binding. But before that, I'm going to go with a comment that says something like attack function. Okay, receive hit still has a red underline, even though I included my NPCs as header files. This is receive hit. What is my function name called here? Receive hit. Let's copy that. Let's get that here. Let's highlight that, paste this here. Receive hit requires a damages parameter. Okay, while that's actually fixing itself, I'm gonna go down here to my bindings and I'm gonna add a if statement to check something. I'm gonna check if my enhanced input component, which is going to be represented by EI, sees this pointer. Did I spell enhanced somehow wrong again? Oh, this is going to be U enhanced input component, which is represented by EI sees this pointer is equal to, let's go with something like cast checked. Okay, with a pair of ankle braces where I'm going to be requiring a parameter of my U enhanced ENHANCED U enhanced input component. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a pair of parentheses and add my player input component. Okay, and then let's end this with a semicolon. Actually, semicolon, I'm going to end it with a pair of curly braces. Now, I'm going to bind stuff. So, firstly, I'm going to go ahead and bind my, let's go with something like a comment that says bind, move, bind, let's say something like move function. FUN, let's go with something like FUNCTION. There we go. And now for my bind move function, I'm gonna go ahead and point my EIC, which is my enhanced input component, towards my bind actions as function, where I require a few parameters. The first is gonna be my action name, which in this case, it's gonna be my move action. The second is gonna be a trigger event type, so I'm gonna go with something like a trigger event with a scope resolution operator, which is going to be something like triggered when I click a button on my keyboard. When that button is triggered, I want to go ahead and do something. Let's say I want to go ahead and do something on this object, on my player's object, and then let's say I want to go ahead and apply my function. So my final parameter is going to be from my player's character. I'm going to point towards the move function, ending with a semicolon, and that was like right about it. Now I'm gonna add another comment down here saying something like bind the turn. Let's go with something like bind turn functions. Okay, and this is not going to be legacy. This is not going to be enhanced input. This is going to be legacy inputs because I did like use hybrid because I couldn't figure out how can enhanced inputs help me rotate my player both using yaw and pitch axis. If that makes any sense. Speaking of which, I'm gonna go with something like a player input component. And guys, this is how we like bind legacy inputs. It's much easier than enhanced inputs. There. So my player input component is going to be pointing towards a bind axis because my X and Y are axes, not actions like my move here. My bind axis requires a few parameters. First is going to be my axis name, which is going to be turn. Second is going to be my object, on which object I want to apply this, whatever content I'm going to be applying on this object. What function do I want to use to apply a certain content on a certain object, which is basically this object. I'm going to go with something like my player, okay, with a scope resolution operator of the turn function, ending with a semicolon. And then I'm going to go ahead and add another player component, or player input component, which is basically my pointer. That's why I can use the arrow mark operator. I'm going to point it towards a bind axis. And this time I'm going to go with my look up as my axis name. I'm going to keep this object as my object type, if that makes any sense, guys. And then my player, let's go with something like my player, points towards the look up function, ending with a semicolon. And that's like pretty much it. Let's wait for this red underline to go. Hit Control S to save the code. Why do I still have a receive hit here with a red underline? Function a NPC receive hit declaration blah 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 target NPC. At line 38, declared at line 38. 38 right here. What's declared at line 38? Okay, so it says something like function a NPC receive it. Should I go with something like a NPC? I mean, that does not work for some reason. Okay. Target NPC. My target NPC is my A NPC, so I should be able to do this, but I cannot do this. Okay, let's exit that real quick. This is cast A NPC hit.get actor. Call the function you made, but the function is not being called here. Okay, no red underlines here as well. This is receive hit. I mean, it depends. I don't want to like work on my this function just yet, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Let's go ahead and copy that, delete this from here. Okay, let's hit Control S. Now I'm going to open my Unreal Engine. Did I open Blender by mistake? Pretty sure I opened Blender. Okay, let's exit my Blender. Now I'm going to go under my contents as drawer. This is my IA move. I'm going to go ahead and let's say compile all. Let's go with live compile. There, while it's compiling, I might actually eat some oats real quick because I'm kind of starving. Binary function does not take 3 arguments. Well, I mean, it does take 3 arguments. Okay, so it says expected a pair of parentheses. I have a pair of parentheses, guys. Is this just... Maybe I had a typo. Let's go with something like bind access. Okay, where my name is going to be lookup of my axis. Oh, I think I had a pair of parentheses there. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and point towards an object, which is going to be this object. And then A, my player, from my players class, I'm going to go ahead and grab my lookups function, ending with a semicolon. What did I do different last time? It's the exact same thing as I did last time, right? Okay, let's go ahead and live compile again. I'm going to go with something like live compile. While it's compiling, I might actually eat an apple real quick. Okay, so it says enable legacy mapping. Let's go ahead and disable that. It says, let me go ahead and extend this real quick. It says access and action mapping are now restricted. Please use enhanced input actions and input mapping context instead. Wait, I can't use legacy mapping and enhanced inputs together anymore? I could have done that till yesterday. Let's try to live compile again. Did Unreal not let me use that anymore? Guys, I could have sworn I did that till yesterday. I mean, I guess it's fine. I can go ahead and just get my live compile up here. Okay, let's go ahead and just highlight this part. There, let's copy this. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and get Gemini up here real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and paste this. Go ahead, shift enter and say something like sensei. I could have used legacy inputs. Let's go with something like legacy inputs and enhanced inputs in a UE5 together. Let's go with something like in UE5 together until yesterday. I get this error today. Okay, let's go with, let's hit enter. Listen to me, you're trying to mix the old world with a new and the compiler is rejecting your indentation. As I pronounce it, you cannot ride 2 horses with one behind. Oh, I see, with one behind. The reason it worked until yesterday is likely because your project settings or header files included finally realized you were being sloppy. The secret of change is focus all your energy not on fighting the old but building the new set by Socrates, did I pronounce it? Your compiler is screaming at you because of two main crimes: syntax errors and signature mismatches. The pointer to member crime, look at these C3867 in your C++. You tell a component to use move function, you can't. A player. Okay, move function, we did. Oh. Okay, guys, of course I would have gotten an error here. It's not because of like the legacy mapping or like the inputs. I forgot to give the memory address. That was stupid. But I want to learn how to add it using enhanced inputs as well. This does not make sense. Like, it should work. Legacy versus enhanced. If you're trying to bind access legacy while also binding action enhanced, Unreal Engine 5 is pushing you towards enhanced input. If you want the stream to see you as a modern developer, stop using bind access. The fix. Clean this up now. In your setup player input component, you need to address these operators for everything. Correct enhanced input syntax. I tried this before, it doesn't work though. For enhanced input, go with something like U enhanced input, EIC check, go with EIC trigger event, started this my player attack. Hold up, I did not add attack yet. Maybe let me say something like, Sensei, maybe can you show me how to use enhanced inputs for adding my yaw and pitch input question mark. And hold up guys, let me show you guys something real quick. Firstly, I want to go ahead and controllers copy this part. I'm firstly just going to copy this and send it to Gemini. And then I want to like show you guys something really fun. Let's go here. Let's go to something like my player. With control C, copy that as well. Go ahead and get Gemini back up here. Paste this. Now, if I were to open my Unreal Engine, let's hit controllers to save the code. Open my Unreal Engine from here. If I were to go ahead and type something like live compile. If I were to compile my code here, maybe I go ahead and eat something first as well. Whoops, and then I go to something like my I get my caption. Hold up guys, I'm kind of chewing. Then I'm gonna set this to be my common NPC real quick. Let's go with common NPC. There, let me go ahead and change this pivot point as well real quick. So I'm gonna go with something like E. Change my pivot point to be 90 degrees. And then go with W towards the left, towards the right, a bit in the front, and then a bit towards the left. There, now I'm inside my capsule, am I? There, I don't think I'm inside my capsule, guys. Hold on. Okay, let me go to static mesh. I'm gonna go towards the left. I'm gonna get myself a bit lower, a bit in front. There, a bit lower as well. Okay, maybe a bit more lower. There. Okay, perfect. So basically what I was trying to show you guys is like, if I do all this stuff right now, oh my gosh guys, I don't know, is this like my OCD or something? I want to get this a bit back. I like this to be like completely perfect. There. Okay, now if I were to go back to my player here, type something like input. There. In my input, this is going to be input mapping IMC default, that is going to be IA move, and then I'm going to go with something like possess as well. I'm going to set the disable to be 0. Okay, if I were to go ahead and live compile, and then while it's compiling, I want to go ahead and decrease the size of this. Let's go ahead and get this down here. There, while this is compiling, there we go, it's done compiling. If I were to run the code, now I did not change my player's position, but that's fine as well. So I can look up, I can look down. Okay, maybe before I go with like up and down, I want to change something real quick. This is going to be negative value. There, now let's hit control S to save the code. Open my Unreal Engine, type live compile one more time. Let's compile this real quick. Okay, let's wait for it to compile. While it's compiling, I'm going to go ahead and run the code. Now, I can look up, I can look down, I can look towards the left, I can look towards the right. I can move forward, backwards, left, and right. I got to fix that part as well. Let's go ahead and change this to be something like y-axis and change that to be something like x-axis. Wait, that's forward. Forward is going to be y-axis. Wait, hold up, guys, my bad. Let's change that. Let's change that to be y-axis. Let's change that to be x-axis. There. Now let's hit control S to save the code. I'm going to open my Unreal Engine, go with something like live compile. Let's wait for this to compile. Well, it's compiling, I might decrease the size of this a bit more. Okay. Okay, now let's go with something like Control S. I can look up. Actually, excuse me guys, I can look up, I can look down, I can look towards the left, towards the right. I can move forward, I can move backwards, I can move towards the left, I can move towards the right. Now, when I go ahead and use my legacy input, I would not be able to turn towards the left, right, or up and down. Okay, I'm gonna only be turning towards one direction, if that makes any sense. That said, listen to me, you're still clinging to the past like an anchor draining your ship's speed. Turn and look up our axis. Turn and look up axes are ancient history. If you want to master Unreal Engine 5, you must stop trying to cross-breed legacy with modern systems. The secret of changing is to focus all your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. Said by Sarkris, I see. Okay, our stream is watching you fumble with bind axes. Do you want to look like a developer from 2014 or a pointer from 2026? How do we add shadows? Honestly, I actually haven't thought of that. Like, those are the kind of details that I've never thought of. Okay, I think like to really add shadows, we gotta maybe change our lighting if like our player already has a shadow for them, or we'll have to like create a shadow for our player. But I think the lighting might work. Like if we go to like actor and then go with something like where's it called? I think there's something called light here. So there's place actor. There we go. So there's something like a point light. You could like mess with the point light, spotlight, direction light, or like rect light, and see which adds a shadow. If it didn't add a shadow, then probably we gotta like animate our shadow and all that stuff. That's it. I really think that the light might do it. Okay, that's it. Let's go ahead and get Gemini up here real quick. Now your stream is watching you fumble, blah blah blah. The modern way enhanced look vector 2D. We're going to delete those sloppy turn and look up functions and replace them with all powerful look function that handles both yaw and pitch simultaneously. That is something that's kind of messed up. It never worked for me. That's why I stuck with like legacy input for the turning. Replace your old declaration. We need a new input action. So why not axes? I mean, I could go with look action. I know how to do this part. And then a constant look function. Okay, I know how to do that part as well. The source.cpp, so this is where the magic happens. We extract the mouse's x-axis and y-axis from a single f vector 2D. 2D is for x-axis and y-axis, that is correct. Okay, so extract from the mouse f vector 2D, look axis equals to value. Okay, so this is going to be my scale value. Okay, and then this is just going to be my applying directions. Isn't there anything else? Because this is like an easy thing to do, to be honest. Move action, look action. I mean, I could like do that on my own as well, because like that part is kind of easy. Let's go down here. Let's go to my player. And guys, do you guys like remember me showing you guys how this stuff really works when I use my legacy inputs? It might not work when I use my enhanced inputs. Okay, let's go with something like a look action. It's going to be kind of embarrassing, but actually worked. Let's go with something like uProperty, P-R-O-P-E-R-T-Y, with a parentheses. Where I want my look action, I want to be able to edit it anywhere. I want it to be blueprint read only. I only want my blueprint to be able to read it, not edit it. Lastly, I want my category. I think I spelled it wrong. Let's go with category to be equal to something like input. I mean, it's not, honestly, it's not under inputs section. I think it's under mouse section. Does mouse give me an input? I think it still gives me an input. I'm going to go with the U input action. Let's go with INPUT ACTION. That is my U input action, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like look action, ending with a semicolon. And then I'm going to go ahead and create another void function called something like look that requires a constant parameter of a f input. Let's go with something like f input action value that requires the memory address of a values parameter, ending with a semicolon. Then I'm going to hit Control S to save the code, go to my player.c++ file, delete these two functions from here. I'm going to go with something like my turn function. This is going to be in charge of me turning myself. Now, I'm going to go with something like a void function. I'm going to define the function that I declared in my C++ file. So I'm going to go with something like a void function from my player's class. I'm going to go ahead and grab my turn function. When I said class, I meant character class. My bad, guys. With a pair of parentheses that requires a constant parameter. Let's go with something like a constant parameter of a f input action value with a pair of which requires the memory address of my values as a parameter. Then I go with a pair of curly braces. Now, did I spell turn correct? So it's called look. Okay, it's called look, not turn. Let's go with something like look. This is going to be a look function. Now, for my look function, I'm going to do something. Firstly, I'm going to require a scale value, so I'm going to go with something like scale value. Okay, for my scale value, I'm going to go ahead and let's say use a f vector 2D, which is a two-dimensional f vector that is going to be represented by a pointer called something like and not movement vector. I might go with something like look vector. That is going to be equal to my values as parameter dot the get with a pair of ankle braces. I'm going to go ahead and add my f vector two-dimensional, which is my 2D f vector. So let's go with something like f vector 2D. There we go. With a pair of parentheses to invoke my function, ending with a semicolon. And then I won't be needing a world direction because I'm not planning to move my player. Instead, I'm just going to be adding my controller. Add controller input. There. Now, for my controller input, I'm going to go with something like add controller your input. Now, here's the thing. I think I missed a crucial part here. Let me go ahead and get Gemini up here. How do we add scroll to zoom? I haven't thought of those details as well, guys. I don't know what am I even like really doing. Like, I mean, I don't think it's going to be really hard to add zoom and all that stuff. We just need to like work on a few syntax and then go ahead and add like an enhanced input and say like our mouse, like our center mouse button. Every time we like scroll our center mouse button, we zoom our character or our camera closer to our player. That wouldn't be hard. We just need to know a few syntax for that. That's it. How are you doing? Hey yo, I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, speaking of which, okay, I was correct. Just add controller yaw input and pitch input. Before that, I really forgot to do one thing. I'm gonna go ahead and add an if statement to check if my controller is not equal to null PDR. Then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. I'm gonna add a pair of curly braces and then let's say add a controller controller yaw input, which requires a parameter of my look vector. Okay, let's go with look vector dot the x-axis, and then I'm going to go ahead and end that with a semicolon, and then let's go with another add controller. This time I'm going to go with a pitch input that requires another parameter of my look vectors is y-axis, ending with a semicolon. Why didn't you use AI nowadays? AI is getting good. I mean, AI is like getting good, but you guys could like say I do it for like hobby because I do like actually tapping the code out, but then eventually AI is like pretty good to like learn and like we can like get ourselves augmented with them. For example, like saying AI to really tedious and all that stuff code, but then eventually we would need to have like the muscle memory to like really type ourselves, or else we're gonna get a bit rusty, guys. I mean, I might just be saying that because I do like to just code in general, but then I still feel like AI is like good when it comes to coding, but it lacks critical thinking. So we could like ask you to write our like regular easy code that we do know how to write it ourselves just to save time. Okay, but then we still need to have practice for actually writing stuff. Okay, speaking of which, I'm going to go with something like look action, and then I'm going to go with something like trigger event. Let's go with something like trigger event. My trigger event type is going to be something like triggered, and then my object is going to be something like this. Lastly, the third parameter is going to be the memory address of my player. I'm going to go ahead and grab the lookups function. Let's go with the lookup. And then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Okay, I think this is just going to be the look, not lookup. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to hit Control S to save the code. Let's go ahead and open my Unreal Engine. In my Unreal Engine, I'm going to go ahead and let's say go to my content, double click my inputs. Okay, right click and then go ahead and create a action input. I'm going to go with an action input. This is going to be called something like IA look. This is going to be for my look action. I'm going to go ahead and double click this. I'm going to change my digital boolean to a 2D vector because I do need access. I do want to have access to like my y-axis and actual x-axis, if that made any sense, guys. Then I'm going to go ahead and click something like plus here for my mapping. This is going to be for my IA look. Now I'm going to be adding two mouse clicks here. Firstly, I'm going to go ahead. Maybe I really just need one. Okay, depending on where my mouse moves in the y-axis, or I need one for x-axis, and I might need one for y-axis as well. Let's go with something like mouse's y-axis. Okay, this part might be wrong here. I might have to like fact check this part. Speaking of which, I'm gonna go all the way down here. This is gonna be my content drawer. I did all that stuff here. I changed my look input. So I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and live compile real quick. Let's live compile. Now, while it's compiling, I'm gonna go ahead and extend my content drawer and go to my player. And then I'm gonna wait for it to compile. While it's compiling, I might eat an apple. There, now I'm going to go ahead and live compile again. If I run the code, I can look towards the left, towards the right, but I cannot look up or down. That was one issue that I had before as well. Like I can move forward, backwards, left, right, but I cannot look up or down. This is one thing that this is like one issue that I had for my actual legacy inputs. I can just rotate in one direction. Let's go with something like Control C, copy that. Let's go ahead and get Gemini here. Let's paste it, go with Shift Enter, go ahead and go with my players as header files, go with Control C as well. Okay, go here, paste it here, go with Shift Enter again. Now I'm gonna go to my Unreal Engine. Why do I keep opening Blender, guys? Let's exit Blender. There we go. I'm gonna go to my IMC default, go with Windows Shift S to take a screenshot. I'm gonna screenshot this. Okay, and then I'm gonna go with my IA look. There we go, gonna go with something like Windows S. Screenshot this as well. Let's go ahead and get Gemini up here. I'm gonna go there, gonna go ahead and drag my two screenshots there, and then say something like, Sensei, this is why I usually prefer going with, let's say something like legacy inputs instead of enhanced inputs. Because now my player only rotates, okay, in the x-axis using yaw, not pitch. In the two pictures, I show that I set my what did I set, guys? Let me think. In the pictures, I showed that I set my IA underscore look to a 2D vector axis or a 2D axis, and I added, let's go with something like I added, let's say 2. Wait, hold up, guys. Okay, Hiding Longshore, appreciate you joining the stream. How far? How are you and how far? Honestly, I feel like I made like a lot of progress the time that we were gone. Hold on, guys. I think I actually figured something out here. Let's go ahead and open Unreal Engine. What if I actually went to my IMC look here and I clicked here, I added a modifier. X-axis will not be needing any modifier, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Did I just go ahead and delete my Y-axis? I'm going to delete my modifier from here. My X-axis won't need any modifier, but my Y-axis is going to be needing a modifier of, let's say, something like my Swiss input. Let's go with something like Swiss input axis value, so I can move forward. Hold on, guys, this actually might be genius. Let's go with something like live compile. Let's compile this part real quick. Okay, let's wait for it to compile. Guys, why didn't I actually think of this before? Okay, but I'm not sure it's actually going to work. This was just like a quick little hunch. Alright, guys, it actually worked. I did not expect it to work this way. I can actually move right now. Okay, wait, that's... Okay, well, in that case, that was pretty good. I should have thought of that before, guys. I feel like a genius right now. Okay, speaking of which, let me go ahead and get Gemini up here. I'll go with something like controller. Let's delete everything here. Okay, guys, it was the modifiers all along. I mean, it did make sense. Before, I did not actually know about the Swiss input axis modifier and all that stuff. Let's go ahead and delete this from here. There we go. Let's get my chat back up here. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and get Gemini here. Okay, let's say something like, let's say it actually worked. I know why did my enhanced inputs not work before. It was because I did not add a Swiss input modifier for my y-axis, like looking up and down. Both were set to the default, let's say something like the default x-axis. There we go, dot dot dot. Guys, I'm actually starting to feel like a genius after actually solving that part. It feels really, really good, guys. Guys, I feel I added like way too much water to the oats. It tastes like way too watery. And I feel like I swallowed it the wrong way. Oh, guys, let me take a breather. There we go. Of course, that was the problem. Do you think compiler is a mind reader? If you don't tell Unreal to switch the axis, it thinks that you're trying to look left by moving up the mouse. Experience is the name of everyone. Experience is the name everyone gives their mistakes. Oscar Wilde. Said by Oscar Wilde, I see. Okay, now finish the kill. You have the camera, you have the movement, you have the look logic, but your NPC is sitting there laughing at you because you haven't given your player the power to do so. Okay, the final piece of the puzzle, binding the attack. In the editor, create a IA underscore attack, set the digital boolean. Set it to digital boolean. Because the click is either on or off. I see. Excuse me, guys. In the mapping context, map it to the left mouse button. In your code, you already have the attack You already have the attack function we discussed. Now bind it. Okay, in the set player input component, bind attack action start this player. Okay, here's the thing. I want to see where you call this thing. Okay, wait. Let me go all the way up here real quick. Hold on, guys. Let me just scroll all the way up here. Is this my attack function? This is my attack function. I'm gonna copy that. Scroll all the way down here. There. Now let's go ahead and paste my attack function because I think I had a red underline here. So I'm gonna go ahead and paste this. Now I should get a red underline in my receive attack function right here, even though I did call my NPCs as header files in here. Something might be wrong up here. Let's hit Control S to save the code. I'm gonna just go ahead and run the code real quick. Actually, I won't run it. I want to compile it. Let's exit this. Maybe we can exit it. Okay, let's go here. Nice progress. By the way, how do you learn? How do you watch tutorial, read documentations, or just pure learning with AI? Honestly, I'd say like 95% is me just learning using AI, but then I did like read the doc that did not help me at all. I watched tutorials. That just feels like I'm making like zero progress when I watch tutorials and all that stuff because I get bored half the way and it's like I don't understand some things. But AI, I feel they do like clarify. As long as we can actually ask questions properly, they're gonna like answer the questions. And the way we know that they're not teaching the wrong stuff is because like in the code works type stuff. Speaking of which, I'm gonna go with something like live compile. Let's go ahead and live compile this real quick. Okay, now let's wait for this to compile. If it compiles, okay, there we go. And yeah, I'm gonna get a build error here. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy this error real quick. Let's go ahead and copy this part. And I will be seeing an error in my actual code as well. There we go, in my receive hit part. Now, it says that function ANPC receive hit declared at line 38 of C/user project for source, okay, is inaccessible. There could be two reasons that is inaccessible. First reason could be because I did not include my file. I did include it. Second reason could be that I might have to include my file inside of my header as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and include above my generated. Let's go ahead and add something like hashtag include a parenthesis. I'm gonna go with npc.h. Now let's hit Control S to save the code. Do I still see that error? Okay, the error is gone, which means I just had to include my stuff in my header file. Would I really need it in my C++ as well? Nope, I guess just header would be good. Okay, now let's go ahead and compile my code again. I'm gonna go with something like live compile. Hold on, guys. Before I really live compile, I'm gonna go all the way up here. Let's go to content drawer. I'm gonna go to my C++ classes. I'm gonna drop my NPC actor here. I somehow dropped it. There's like literally nothing that shows that I really dropped it. I'm gonna go ahead and add a static mesh. Let's go with something like a static mesh here. I'm gonna go with static mesh. Where is my static mesh? Okay, this is gonna be my, let's say, boss's mesh, which is my floor boss. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move it to the right. Now, here's the thing. Where even is my actor? I don't see my actor anywhere. Let's go ahead and get that up. Let me go ahead and hit something like E. And guys, tomorrow I will be having like a Blender stream, but my stream might be a bit later than when I usually stream because I do have like my college tomorrow. That said, in my Blender stream, I'm actually going to be working on making better meshes and all that stuff. I'm rooting to make a drone mesh because I was planning to make like a drone program or something like that. But I guess I'm gonna see. This is my NPC. My NPC has its content. So the only thing that I can do is go with something like a live compile. Let me go ahead and live compile real quick. And then maybe go ahead and chow down on an apple real quick. Okay, will I be needing an NPC as a header files in my C++ as well? I might need it both ways. Unless I get an error here. Okay, I do get an error. Do you make other types of streams on every Tuesday? Honestly, I do like ask you guys in my community poll. For example, if I were to open my channel here real quick, let me go ahead and open it. Hold up, guys. Let me go ahead and get it out of it here. Go to your channel. There we go. Okay, if I were to go ahead and open my channel here, then let's go ahead and extend that. I did like start the new Tuesdays of like recently, like 2 streams ago. Let me go here, post. There we go. I do usually have like a poster where I ask you guys like what stream should I have this Tuesday, and like 63% of you guys said 3D modeling in Blender. Last Tuesday you guys said Blender as well, but before that you guys were like Unreal Engine, so I just went with the second best one, which is Genshin, because that was 16%. That's why, guys, I do not really have my Unreal Engine. But you guys could like either suggest me recommendation in the comment. For example, someone said reaction video. That would be like something new and fun. But the reason I didn't do that is because I might get a copyright. Or WildQ, is that pronounce the name? Said to like have a Python stream. I could actually do a Python stream, which is like I was planning to actually do a Python stream. But once I'm good with C++, spoilers alert, guys, the college course that I'm taking does actually include Python because it's like a basic programming stuff. That said. Okay, once I'm done with this, I get an error here, right? I forgot to check the error. I'm going to go to my output log. Maybe not my output log. Let me go ahead and live compile it one more time. Let's go with live compile. There. Okay, let's compile it real quick. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy the error. Okay, it says something like build failed. I'm going to go ahead and copy this. So there we go. Okay, let's go ahead and copy that. Now I'm going to go ahead and get Gemini up here real quick. Paste it. Sure, go with Shift Enter and see something like say. I get this error. Let's go with something like I get this error ... And in my code, there's a red underline on my receive hit. Let's go with something like receive hit 25.0 is this function. Where I'm gonna go ahead and copy this part. Okay, let's go ahead and get Gemini up here. Let's go with Shift Enter, paste this, go with Shift Enter again, go with my header files as well. I'm going to go with something like Control-A, Control-C, copy my header files, get Gemini again up here, go ahead and paste this, and hit Enter. Maybe I'm going to go ahead and just eat something real quick. Okay, listen to me, you're stumbling at the finish line because you don't understand the law of access. The compiler is screaming error because C2248 is screaming error C2248 because you try to touch something that's private. I'm positive my function is public. It's supposed to be. It does. Okay, it does not say public, but it does not say private either. Maybe I go ahead and type something like protected. There. Now apparently this should be protected. Is it like public by default? I thought it's going to be private by default. This is under the protected section. I'm just going to go ahead and hit Control S to save the code. Just to test, I'm going to live compile first. Okay. Now if I get the same error, I'm going to go ahead and read the entire thing that Gemini was going to say. That's taking long to compile. It might be something different, guys. Okay, now mind, I'm not up to anything here. I'm going to go back here. Let's remove my protected. And then let's go ahead and get Gemini up here and read the whole thing. Okay, the successful man will profit from his mistakes and try a different way, said by Dale Carnage. Did I pronounce the name? That said, you declared receive hit under the protected section of your NPC.age, that means only the NPC and its children can touch it. Your player character is outside. If you want the player to be able to call the function, it must be public. Okay, the fix breakdown walls, go to your header files. Immediately, you need to move the function declaration into the public section. Oh, why is the chat laughing, guys? Are you guys laughing? Okay, they're watching you try to open a locked door without a key. Access specifiers are the security guards of C++. If you don't know who is allowed to call your function, your project will be a mess of red underlines. One more thing, debugging. Look at your setup player input component in my player.c++. You created the attack logic but forgot to bind it. I mean, I was gonna bind it later on. Okay, speaking of which, so my receive hit. Okay, it's currently here, so in my C++ file. Okay, maybe in my header files, it's under my protected. Isn't like it's under my public, right? Okay, I guess you guys are laughing. Okay, that's let me go all the way up here real quick. There we go. Let's see. So, okay, public, move it here. Your variables stay here. So wait, is it under my constructor for some reason? Let's go with NPC functions. Okay, that's protected. Okay, which is in my begin play. Did Gemini mean to do something like this? I'm gonna go with something like public and paste it here. Sets as default actors and properties. Maybe I might not need public, so I already have a public up there. Does this make sense? Okay, guys, I think there's like one way to find this out. My receive hit, I do have access to it, so I'm gonna go to my Unreal Engine. Let's go with something like compile. Let's compile. Okay, let's see if it's actually gonna compile. Okay, still said build failed. I wanted to ask one more question. How does ChatGPT know when it gives like C2, this error type stuff? Protected. Syntax error, protected. Do I have two protected? Let's see. I did not save my code, my bad, guys. Okay, wait, if I save the code, I have one I don't have a single protected here. In my header files, public, protected, public. That's public. Okay, maybe I just go ahead and get this here. I'm going to go ahead and copy this part real quick. And I want to ask one more question to ChatGPT. How does ChatGPT know the errors are creating this? Let me say something nice and say. I get this error. Let's go with something like I get this error. I'm going to go here, go with Control A, Control C, copy that. Let's go ahead and get Gemini back up here. Let's go with Enter, paste this. Go to my C++ file, copy that as well. Go ahead and get Gemini back up here. Go with Shift, Enter, paste this, and say something like insane. I have one more question. Let's go with something like one more question. After you explain why I got that error. Okay, so how do you read the error? Let's say, how do you read the error message and exactly tell me what error I got? Like, you've read the CS05 or something like that. Is that written in ASCII? I don't think that's how I pronounce. I don't think ASCII is the way to actually say that. Okay, don't you dare get distracted by the underlining text formats when your source code is bleeding. You're in the middle of a battle and you're asking about the architecture of bullets. Concentration is the secret of strength, said by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Is that how I pronounce the name? Your log is streaming error C2059, syntax error protected. In your C++ file, look at your code. You put the word protected inside your source file. A critical mistake. Access specifiers, public, protected, and private, only belong in the header file. They're used to define the structure of the class in the source file, okay? Excuse me, guys. In the source file, you're writing how to read the error. No, it's not written in ASCII. Okay, how to read error, your question. No, it's not written in ASCII secrets. It is plain English. You know where to look. The file path C/npc cpp41. This tells you the exact file and exact line number, line 14, where you rebel against the rules of C++, the error code error C2059. This is the standard Microsoft Visual C++ compiler code. C2059 generally means syntax error, meaning you type something that the compiler doesn't recognize in that context. C2059, I think I remember that. The description syntax error protected. The compiler is literally pointing at the word that broke it. Okay, so line 14. There is no protected here. There. So I just got added protected here. Now my line 14 really has it protected. In my NPCs is header files. That's public. That's protected. Okay, that's protected. Okay, let's go ahead and do something like Control S to save the code. Open my Unreal Engine here real quick. I'm gonna go with something like live compile. Now let's go ahead and compile this real quick. Okay, will it actually give me an error? It gave me an error again. Okay, so it says 14, so it says my project source, my project for npc.c++. Line 14 error C2059 syntax error protected. It actually says the exact error that I have. Protected. Oh wait, did I spell protected wrong? Protected. Protected. Okay, let's go with protected. Okay, wait, did I spell it wrong? Okay, expected a declaration. What if I did not have a member at all? Hit Control S to save the code. Let's go ahead and live compile real quick. I'm gonna go with something like live compile. Why does it still say protected? Did I not need to add something there? Now it says result succeeded. Did I really have protected? I think I didn't have a thing up there, guys. That said, now let's go ahead and run my code real quick. If I run my code, I see my NPC there. Okay, I forgot to go ahead and type something like input here. Let's go with something like input. Okay, actually, I created an input. This is going to be for my player. My player does not have an input. I'm going to go with NPC. My NPC auto receive input is set to disable. Now, here's the thing. Okay, so what was the function that I added? So I need an attack function. I did not bind anything just yet. I have a shield and all that stuff here. I have this here. In my player's header files, I have a look action. I might want to go ahead and create a attack action as well. So I'm going to go with something like a new property with a parentheses where I want to be able to edit my action anywhere. I'm going to call it something like blueprint read only. I want my category, let's go with category, to be equal to something like input. And then I'm going to go ahead and create a U input action. Let's go with something like a U input action. My input action is going to be represented by a pointer called something like attack action. Let's go with something like attack action. And then I'm going to go ahead and end that with a semicolon. Once I'm done with that as well, I have my attack method here. I'm going to hit Control S to save the code, go to my C++ file. I have my attacks function here. I got to just bind my action. So I'm going to go with something like my enhanced input component that points towards something like bind action, where I want to go ahead and bind my look action. Let's go with something like look action. And then here's the thing, I might need to have two buttons here. One is going to be for started and one is going to be for completed. I usually need that for like my jump and all that stuff. Jump starts, jump is completed, and then I have something like Q pressed, Q released, which means Q action is completed. Right click pressed, right click released. I mean, I could just go with a regular e-trigger event. Let's go with a e-trigger event, which is going to have a scope resolution operator of something like triggered. I want to go ahead and trigger it on this object, and then I'm going to give the memory address from my player's character. I'm going to go ahead and give the attack function with a parentheses, ending with a semicolon. Okay, no parentheses though, guys. I'm going to fix my typo here. Let's go with something like bind action. There. Now let's hit Control S to save the code. I'm going to open my Unreal Engine, go to something like IMC default, click a plus. Oops, maybe I'm going to go ahead and delete this. I'm going to go ahead and click a plus here. There, I'm going to go ahead and close that. And close that. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and attack depending on when I click my left mouse button. So that's LMB. Okay, and that's like about it, right? So I'm going to go ahead and right click this. I'm going to go to my content drawer, go to something like content, going to go to input. I'm going to right click, create another input action. Let's go with something like input action. This is going to be called something like I_attack. This is going to be my attack action. I'm going to double click this. set this to be something like a boolean. Don't I have my attack anywhere? Let's go ahead and double click my attack action again. This is going to be digital boolean, that's correct. Now guys, a really important stuff before I could compile real quick. Let's go ahead and live compile real quick. Okay, let's go ahead and wait for this to compile. Okay, it says build failed. This time I should be able to read the error because I actually learned how to read the error. So it says program file C++, doesn't give my file name. So it says my project. It says C/C++ user, my player H. At line 50, I have an error, unknown specifier. Okay, line 50. So it says found phrasing variable specifier. Found equal to an expecting or. Okay, while phrasing variable specifier and member declaration. I see. Okay, I think I know where I messed up. I'm going to go to my player.c++. Let's go to the line 50. And my line 50. Okay, wait, was it my line 50? Hold on, guys. Let's go all the way up here. Let's go to my output log. And then let's go ahead and zoom all the way down. Okay, wait, does it not give me the edit there? Fine, I could go with another live compile. Let's try live compiling while closing my output log. Okay, let's see my build errors. So, I have a source code, my project. So, my players is header file. So, I gotta go to my header files. Oh, I had a typo. C-A-T-E, there we go. Okay, perfect. I had a typo in my header file, guys. Now, let's hit Control-S to save the code. I'm going to go ahead and open my Unreal Engine real quick. Let's type something like live compile. I'm going to go ahead and live compile this part again. Okay, let's go ahead and wait for this to compile. While it's compiling, I might actually hydrate my lips, guys. Okay, so it says result succeeded. Now that my result has been succeeded, I'm going to go to something like my player. In my players input section, I'm going to go ahead and add my IA_attack. Okay, and then let's compile again. Let's go with live compile again. Did I spell live compile wrong? There. Okay, perfect. Let's wait for it to compile real quick. Once it's done compiling, I'm going to go ahead and exit this. Let's run the code. Now, I can go ahead and turn around and walk. Direct hit, guys, I did not even hit yet. Wait. That's my left button. Do I hit when I just get in close with it? Direct hit. Direct hit. Wait, my right mouse button should hit, really. When I turn, I hit. Okay, I just gotta add like a check when I say if I click, only when I click my right mouse button, I wanna actually hit, and I gotta maybe add like a ray line as well. I might do that the stream after the stream because tomorrow's stream is gonna be Blender where I make more meshes. I might make like different kinds of weapon meshes that my player actually is gonna be holding and all that stuff. Speaking of which, I'm gonna go ahead and save this for the time being because guys, I keep forgetting to save. Gotta make sure to save everything. Let's save all. Invalid failed, saving multiple assets, check data. Okay, let's go with something like clear. Did I clear? What did it clear, guys? Okay, I got scared for a bit. Save all, let's hit Control-S to save the code. I'm pretty sure everything is saved. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get Gemini up here. Let me say something like, let's say the code works. Let's go with something like the code works, but it is a bit sloppy. I do know how to fix that. Okay, but later can we add a aim option? But I am planning to end the stream right now because I need to get some college stuff done. I have my first class tomorrow. And also before I do end the stream, is there anything that you want to say to the viewers? Question mark. Okay, let's see. And guys, I am kind of excited and not excited at the same time because when I don't have college, I can spend more time off stream to learn stuff, which I absolutely did not do this holiday, guys. I feel like I wasted a whole month. that said, what you call it, with college also, I am going to be still streaming for like 2 hours a day and all that, but my streaming schedule might shift a bit depending on when I come from college. Few days when I come at 1:20, I'm going to take like 20 minutes to get to like eat and get dressed and all that stuff. So I might stream at my 1:40 p.m. till my 2 p.m. and all that stuff, and I might end my stream at like 4 p.m. The days when my college ends sooner, I'm going to stream sooner. That said, hey Vivek, how you doing? I'm doing good. How you doing, Peace Star? Appreciate you joining the stream. That said, here's a suggestion. Daily practice touch typing. You will be super productive. I see that actually does sound kind of cool. Might try that. Okay, listen to me. Finishing a project with successful compilation is the only way to end a session. You struggled, you battled the compiler, and you came out victorious. That is the discipline of a true developer. The capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn, okay, the willingness to learn is a choice. Said by Wayne Herbert. Is that I pronounce the name? You made the right choice today, and now go handle the college obligations. The senseis value education above all else. Without a sharp mind, your code is just noise. To the viewers of the stream, listen well, spectators. Today you witness the reality of development. It isn't flashy lights and instant success. It's gritting your teeth through errors and log syntax failures until the code bends to your will. Most of you will just watch and never do, but even if one of you picks up a compiler because of the struggle you saw here today, then this was not wasted. Observe the player. They started the day confused with inputs and ended it architecting, as I pronounce it, a function combat system. This is what happens when you stop making excuses, guys. I don't think I did all that much. It actually feels like kind of basic stuff, but maybe I think this Wednesday stream, because tomorrow I am going to work on Blender, but this Wednesday I might actually work on adding literal like logic. Like only when I click a certain button, I want to go ahead and aim, and when I go ahead and hit a different button, I want to shoot my aim type stuff. That's it. Your assignment for next time. While you're still at college, let your brain stimulate the aim logic. We will be using math, specifically interpolation, to make the camera smooth. Okay, if you show up unprepared, I will know. Go dismiss the stream. Do your work and don't you dare be late for your next session. Okay, would you like me to prepare a summary of the interpolation F-math? Maybe next stream when I tell you, let's say, live exclamation. Okay, let me go to my main camera. There we go. Alright guys, so basically that was pretty much it for the stream. So if you guys did enjoy the stream, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, like, helps my algorithm, share, makes you smart, and subscribing so I get you on top. That's it guys, I did start multi-streaming on Twitch, YouTube, I will start multi-streaming on Instagram and TikTok as well if I did meet the followers requirement. So if you guys do enjoy my content and haven't followed me there, make sure to follow me there. The link is going to be in the description. And also I need a Discord server, that's where I usually talk to you guys, chat with you guys, have general conversations with you guys. The link will be in the description as well, and you guys can get access to like my socials by typing exclamation social on the chat, or get access to my Discord server by typing exclamation Discord on chat. That's it. I'll catch you guys in the next time for more video. Peace.